greatness, I promise perfection. Mama birthed a king, immaculate conception. I survived in the darkness and the shadows of death. And through all that I prospered, they formed every weapon. But I came so thorough, never changed my wardrobe. Took every scar with honor, I was raised in the burrow. Now I'm giving to me, from the belly of the beast. I'm just paying respects, I'm just speaking my piece.
All right, man, welcome back to another episode of the Quality Time Podcast. As y'all know, it's your boy Quay. And today I have a very special guest, somebody I've been ready to chop it up with for a while. We finally been able to get our schedules in tune and get this conversation going.
Yeah.
As y'all know, we just wrapped up Mental Health Awareness Month, and that's a month that I take, very, very personal and very, very serious. So I wanted to have this conversation right in Mental Health Awareness Month, but the schedule had us push it, so we're a couple days later. But hey, still gonna be the same effect, still the same information. So. Right. I appreciate you joining me, and I want y'all to, welcome and get some good information from ShMaughn Wright. And I'm going to read off a few of, your distinguished accolades. If I miss anything, make sure you let me know. So you're a clinical mental health counselor associate, national certified counselor, and certified career counselor.
Yes, sir. So yeah, I have just got my license in February for my license, clinical mental health counseling associate license. Just got that in February, and also my national certified counselor credential in January. So yeah, finally through with the licensure process.
All right, cool. And is that strictly for North Carolina, or how does that work?
Well, it is right now it's strictly for North Carolina. So until the board is in the process of trying to find ways of where we could use our licenses in other states. So some states will have different requirements of what you would say, but some states may have the same requirements as North Carolina, where I possibly can, see some other clients in different states. So yeah, but primarily right now, North Carolina.
Okay. All right. Let me adjust this light. All right. Cool. So since we're gonna, dive into mental health, I wouldn't want to start it any other way than to ask you personally, how is your mental health? How would you assess your mental health?
With my mental health, I always kind of do self check-ins, kind of ask myself how am I feeling? Things, at the end of the day, we're human. So, even as a therapist, I see a therapist. I have my own therapist just because I take in people, stuff all day, every day. So with me to be able to keep my balance, I see a therapist. So with my mental health right now, I've been keeping it intact with just making sure I engage in my self-care. Just kind of, being honest with myself, whatever feelings I'm feeling it, and actually, processing it and just moving forward with it.
All right, cool. And I would also speak on mine. I think I've been trying to, do those same things since I'm in the transition of getting ready to, move around or whatever. I had my last session with the therapist I've been seeing for the last year. So once I get situated where I'm going to be in a couple months, I have to, start that process of finding somebody else over again. It was an older black therapist as well. So that's what I was trying to look for. Some they always say, it's try to find somebody that looks like you or that can, think how you think to a certain extent. And it helped. Yeah, it's been helping me a lot because the same thing, the self-care, being honest with myself and how I feel in my moods and things like that. So all in all, I know I'm in a good space, good headspace, and feel good about it. So that's good. Right. That's good to hear from you, man. Good to hear from you as well, because people don't think about it. I had one of my close friends. She's also a therapist or whatever. She, she's big on that. She always puts, I'm a therapist, but I have a therapist because y'all take in so much of other people's, things that they deal with and that they're getting off their chest. And if you don't, I can only imagine not venting or getting that out in some form. It'll, probably break you down faster than it kind of does,
Yeah. Because it's hard, especially when you hear certain stories about people, because we don't realize how much you have in common with people until you start actually talking. A lot of times we think we're so much, we think we're different from people, but a lot of times you have conversations with people and you say, "Dang, I see a lot of things we got in common. I don't even know this person. I haven't met them or anything like that." So when you can relate to a lot of stuff that even your clients tell you, it's I still keep it professional and everything like that. But it's in my head, I'm thinking wow, I get exactly what they're saying. So, to your point of trying to find someone who looks like you. I think that's very key, very key in being able to feel comfortable with it, being able to express yourself in a session, to process some trauma or process some past events that may have happened in your life.
Gotcha. I definitely understand. And I always ask this question, but I wanted to ask that mental health question first. I always ask everybody I have conversations with, who is ShMaughn Wright outside of the accolades, the titles, the job? Just who are you? Like when you see yourself, when you look in the mirror, when you're out on a day, just enjoying yourself. Who are you?
When it's so crazy that you asked me this question, because I actually asked myself this like probably about 2-3 months ago. Like, asked myself, like, who am I? And I realized I was like, I have these, I do have like different titles and different accolades and things like that. But I'm like, beyond that, I'm this, I'm a holistic individual. How I look at myself, a holistic individual where, I believe in being holistic with everyone around me as well. Like, I am a father. I am, I'm engaged as well, soon to be married. So I have those roles as well. I'm a photographer as well. I do stuff like that. So me, I look at myself as this vessel, that maybe, God, the higher power, has put me here to be, just to be able to reach a different, I don't want to say a different generation, but just reach someone, period. I've always felt like I had this purpose to, like, I don't care if I just help one person or if I'm here to just inspire one person. If that's my purpose, then I'm fine with that, so I look at it like that, as being like this holistic individual where, I place no judgment on no one. I allow people to be who they are. And I understand that we come from different walks of life. So I'm very understanding, especially when it comes to different, well, some people don't realize when it comes to cultural competency, like, being able to understand the difference of different cultures. And I'm not just talking about, when it comes to race, but when it comes to, work, occupations, socioeconomic status, like, still placing no judgment on anyone, being able to invite them in so I can help them process and guide with whatever it is.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And I think I always ask people that question, but I think everybody, like you said, you asked yourself that a few months ago. I think at certain points in our life, especially when we're going through changes or things like that, it's always a good time to step back and ask yourself, all right, who am I? Because maybe you see some evolution, maybe you see some you regressed or things like that, but you always you try to keep yourself in check to a certain extent. So I always like to ask that question.
Right. Because we evolve over time. So the same person yesterday's you is not today's you. So you have to keep constantly asking yourself that. You evolve over time. If you're not growing, if there's no change being made, then it means you're not growing at all.
Exactly. So next, so what sparked you to take the road to helping others better their mental health? What made you decide that was your path and your what you were chosen to do?
So I remember back in 2011, I lost my grandmother. She passed away from a heart attack in her sleep. And it's because of like stress on top of stress on top of stress on top of stress. Right. And my grandmother, at that time, I didn't even understand what mental health was. I didn't know that stress could really kill you and things like that. I was young at the time, so I was just I didn't really understand what my grandmother was going through at that time. So time goes on, I eventually, end up getting into college. And at first I thought I wanted to be a teacher at one point because I was good at English. So I'm good at writing and good at English. So I thought, maybe I need to go to school to be a teacher. But I realized when I started getting into my field experience, I realized, that wasn't necessarily fit for me. So I was like, man, so once I finished school, in that same process, working at this group home called the Bruce Group Home in Qualitty. And I was on it, so it was a residential group home. It was all girls. And a lot of times we would work with them on different mental health conditions. But I wasn't licensed to counsel them, but I could still work with them on intervention. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door with mental health. Kind of started doing that. So I did that for about 5.5 years. Went from a paraprofessional to a what they call a qualified professional. Because once you have done so much training and time, you get bundled to a qualified professional. So I did that. And I realized, like, man, I think I really want to counsel people. So I started learning about, mental health and things like that. So I was like, let me try. I reached out to my aunt, who's also a therapist, and she kind of like helped guide me. She was like, this is kind of what I do. And I'm like, man, I kind of been doing this all my life. Like, I've always been that person that family or friends will come and talk to me about. They know that, I won't be judgmental or whatever it is. So I kind of like been doing it anyway, but just as haven't been licensed. But it's like it was more to it than me just conversing with people and talking about their problems. So I wanted to learn more about, like, how can I effectively help someone with their mental health? But then I started realizing, like, this is what kind of like took my grandmother's life. Like, I remember her stressing about finances and just like always being stressed, always having these headaches. But my grandmother didn't have a therapist either, and it's not to say that a therapist is gonna definitely save your life. That's not what it's about. But the fact, I wish my grandmother did have someone who she could talk to and actually process whatever it was that she was going through to alleviate some of that pain, alleviate some of that stress. So I started doing my research on it and things like that, and realized that that Central had a program. So I was like, let me go back. I'm gonna go back to Central. I'm gonna go back to the HBCU that I graduated from, and I'm gonna just get into the program. So got into the program, literally started learning so much about it. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely for me. So it's kind of really how I got into it. I realized that with being a QP, which is a qualified professional, you only limited to do so much. But I wanted to be able to diagnose people, because I will always be interested in stuff like that. I remember even in undergrad, I did a project on sociopaths, and I was like, man, this is interesting. Just understanding, like, these certain things that people, these certain conditions that people have. It just was interesting to me to learn about and see how the mind works and how behaviors are. I used to always ask, myself, why do people behave this way, or why do people think this way? And so I wanted to figure that out. So, with learning the psychology of it all kind of helped, really spark my interest in it. Like, this is why people will respond this way when they have this condition. They may have this condition. So being able to diagnose was really like, I want to be able to kind of like help my people out in a way, because I realized with, Black communities, we get misdiagnosed all the time, especially kids, and once you're diagnosed, what people don't realize is it follows you for the rest of your life. So I was like, I want to be able to, every time you see it, you don't have to have a diagnosis. Some people think that you have to go to therapy you have to have a diagnosis or some type of severe mental health condition, but that's not necessarily true. So I was like, I wanted to kind of help try to like change that stigma of that, so that people aren't constantly, living in this past mindset that we has been going on for hundreds of years when it comes to, well, I'm gonna say decades, when it comes to mental health in the Black community. So that's kind of what sparked my interest in being able to help others with their mental health.
All right, and like you led right into the next question that I wanted to hit on, and you said trying to help break that stigma and the, like, I like to call it, the taboo of what mental health is, because like you said, a lot of people think you got to have, if you go talk to someone, you're going to get diagnosed, and now they're going to put you on medicine or, some type of drug and things. And it's the fear of, well, I'm just going to keep it to myself. We're going to keep it in the house. That's a big thing, especially, from the Black community. That was something that you was always taught, what happened in this house, stay in this house. Nobody you don't mention it to nobody, and no fault of their own from our elders and our older family members. That's just what they were taught. It was the right thing to do. But, as we got older and more people that look like us have started to make mental health important and cool, because once something becomes cool in the Black community, everybody wants to do it.
Wants to try. It's like a trend.
But this is one trend that I'm glad that people are making it cool, because a lot of the stuff is like it'll be here today, gone tomorrow. But once you sit down, if you really take the time to sit down with somebody and try to get to the nitty gritty of what's going on, I don't know many people that won't go back that second time and not keep going back, because they're opening up, you're opening up things that you would have suppressed otherwise. So how do we how do we break the stigma that comes with mental health and that is taboo and you shouldn't do it? Like, what are some things that you think, from your point of view professionally, that we should do in our community and outside of our community, just in general?
Right. Yeah, one of the most important things is like, especially what you're doing right now, is having these conversations about it, like being able to talk about it. A lot of people think, oh, they may be dealing with something, but don't want to say nothing about it because they feel like no one else is related. Like somebody else, they may think I'm crazy, or somebody may think I got anger issues or emotional problems or whatever. So if we able to talk about it more in the community, then more people will be able to relate to it. Like, you know what, I'm not the only one going through this. I'm not the only one. So that's why, even when I saw that Jay-Z, sees a therapist, like, stuff like that, like, I'm like, they really swear. Like, then that's when I started, when I read the comments, I'm like, man, they were like, everybody's like, wow, Jay-Z sees a therapist, or, that's like, the okay for me to go see a therapist. So it's like, unfortunately, but I wanted to be more than just somebody like Jay-Z of higher power, who has this big name that is influencing others to go to receive, therapy, because the stigma around it, that you're thinking that you're going to be diagnosed with something that's not necessarily true. They may say, oh, one of the disorders you may hear a lot of whenever you're billing. That's the only reason why you may be diagnosed with something. But again, it all depends on what you're being diagnosed for. So, for example, if you may have just experienced a move, maybe you move from one state to another, and you're trying to find a job, and you're trying to get settled in and things like that, and it's causing a lot of stress on you. Maybe you're not eating, maybe you're losing weight and stuff. You're trying to figure out why. It's not necessarily depression, but it could be adjustment disorder. And adjustment disorders don't last, so It's not something that, people don't. Well, I want people to understand, like, you don't need medication for adjustment disorder, something like that. But what people don't realize is you don't always have to be on medication. That's not always the answer whenever you go see a therapist. It doesn't make you crazy to go see. You don't have to be, what people consider crazy to go see to go see a therapist, because a mental health condition is a mental health condition. It's an imbalance of a chemical in the brain. And if it's, when you go to what I don't realize is, or what I don't understand is, when you break your arm, where you go? To the hospital. When you need when you need your eyes checked, you go to the eye doctor or whatever. But when something is going on with you mentally, you rather stay at home and keep it to yourself. And I understand we do have, those who are religious and things like that. Yes, we do have, you can pray and things like that, but I feel like it's more, you have to do more, you have to do more than just do those things. So, like, just breaking that stigma that it doesn't make you crazy to go see a therapist. It doesn't means anything is wrong. Like, maybe you want to just go and learn how to process when stuff does start to happen. Maybe when life starts, stressors come. We human at the end of the day. Like, life is gonna happen to us. So breaking that stigma, especially, we have more women who are more, are going to see a therapist than we have males. So one of the things I try to specialize in is working with males, especially Black males who may have never seen a therapist before. So I want to try to help build that rapport with them. A lot of people don't realize that's what's important too, building that rapport with a client. So exactly. I've heard people say, oh, I tried therapy before, but I went the first time and all they did was ask me a bunch of questions, and I went the second time and there was more questions. You have to build rapport with a person, and you're not going to be comfortable with talking to a person if I don't know who you are. So that first session, it's going to be a lot of questions, because the therapist is trying to get to know you, to see what the problem is, where the root of it may be coming from, what things that may need to be worked on. Then you may go to 3 or 4 sessions and maybe you still are feeling some depressive symptoms, but it doesn't happen overnight. You have to be, for one, willing to do the work. Exactly. And you have to allow that therapist to build that rapport with you. Again, there are some therapists who are bad at building rapport. So that's why I try to get into it, so people can see I've been on both sides of the table, the room, or whatever. I've been on both sides, so I wanted to be a face that somebody could be like, okay, I feel comfortable enough or secure enough to be able to express whatever trauma I've had in my life. And then also another stigma is that some people feel like they can't afford mental health services. But there's programs out here that do pro bono services. They also accept different insurances. If you have insurance, your insurance covers it, so that's another thing. So a lot of people think that they have to pay out of pocket, but it's ways around it. You can get your insurance to cover it for you. So I think breaking that stigma is just, for one, again, talking about it. If we got to do more workshops, that's what I've been trying to do anyway, trying to, create some workshops where I'm talking to people about mental health and things like that, especially back home, and around any of the urban communities that I'm in, because it's important for us to keep constantly talking about it so that people can see that, that it does work. It's not just something, somebody wants you to try, or somebody just trying to get your money to talk to you for an hour. It's more than that. Your friends and family can't help you the way a therapist can. Yeah, they can support you, and that's what we want you to have, especially a support system. But these, therapists or social workers, any clinician is clinically trained to understand what is going on with your brain, and what interventions could be used to help you process whatever it is that's going on.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of people that have the all they did was ask me questions and things like that. Like they got to get to know who they talking to. You can't just talk to a complete stranger and say, "Oh well, boom, I know what's going on with you." They have to get time to know what you like. When I was talking to my therapist, that was the first thing he said. He said, these first couple of sessions is gonna be kind of like a fill out process for you and for me. We're gonna talk. I ask you questions, you ask me questions. And get a feel of things like that. He even was honest. He was like, "I may not be the person for you. If you feel that way, let me know." And then, I can try to refer you to someone else, or, you can find somebody else on your own, because it might not be first time go for everyone, because everybody's different. But like you said, trying it and actually giving it your real input and your real, putting your all into it, because you helping yourself. If you want to, like you said, if you want to heal a broken arm, you're going to do all the rehab, everything the doctor tell you to do to get your arm right. And it should be the same if you're dealing with stuff. I was got a lot of things hit me at one time, and it was overwhelming. And I knew I had been before, but I had took a big major break. And I was like, nah, I need to get back and talk to somebody, because stuff is starting to build up. And it was a very, very, very good process, and it has been a very good time doing it. So that's why, like you said, these conversations are so important. That's why I made sure to have these conversations with people who not only just want to have the conversation, but who actually have the knowledge and information to back up the conversation, and that look like me. I think that's important. I think it's very important, because I don't think I would be comfortable or as open to talking to someone who doesn't even understand where I come from. You don't really know what I've been through or whatever, and I can say it, but you can't really. It doesn't resonate the same, because you really can't go but so far with what I've said or what I've done. So it's important, man. It's just something that I really want to keep trying to push the conversation forward, like you said, because
we
need it, man. Especially like you said, in our community, not just Goldsboro, North Carolina, but in the Black community, period. Therapy wasn't something that you were taught or you were given information on as a kid. The only counselor I ever knew was the high school guidance counselor, and that was usually if you got in trouble or you did something or your grades were slipping, the guidance counselor tried to help you figure out where you was headed and things like that. But going through things as a teenager, adolescent, you didn't really have nobody to talk to. You talk to your friends, or that was it. If you talk to your parents, but most kids don't talk to their parents in depth about things that they really going through and they really feeling.
Exactly. And that's why I definitely want people, like, especially parents, like we gotta communicate with our kids about mental health. Your kids aren't too young to experience stress. I can't stand when I hear people say that, even when I work with my teenagers. As I remember growing up as a child or even as a teenager, people would say, "You're too young to be stressed. You're too young to be stressed." You can't, stress don't have an age limit on it. You don't have an age limit. You could be a 5-year-old can experience stress if they're, if they're going home to abuse. not eating, come to school and all this. You trying to figure out why this kid is doing whatever. I mean, part of it has to do with stressors on this child's life, because this is not something that he's used to. That's why I feel like it's very important that we talk to our children a lot about mental health. Like I even have like some dialogues that I do with parents and children. It's called, I do this one, I got it from the Imago. So I'm in the process of becoming the Imago relationship therapist. So I got some dialogues that I use from my trainings and things like that. And one of them is called the parent-child dialogue. And even though it's a couples training, a couples theoretical orientation, you still can use it with any relationship. So I've even used that with my if I'm working with a mom and her son, or a mom and her daughter, or father and parent and child, it's called a parent-child dialogue. And then what I like about it is the parent is asking the child, like one of the first questions is, what is it like living with me? And the child gets to answer that. I like it because you really get to assess yourself as a parent.
That's a deep question. That's a deep question that most kids ain't never had a chance to answer that question.
Exactly. Like no, a lot of times parents want to think that they they know what's best, and at the end of the day, being a parent don't come with a manual. So you do what you can with what you know. But I like for parents to be able to, especially their teenagers. I would really start with middle school, or even around 8, 9, or 10, where you can ask your child, what is it like living with me? Because so that way you can assess yourself. Like they may say, well, mom, dad, you give me everything in the world, but you're never home, because you're working 2 or 3 jobs. So I miss you sometimes. You might not realize what that is doing to your child. So if you get to go ahead and talk about it early and process this stuff with your kids early, you don't have to worry about them needing a therapist in the future. Our generation, like you said, we weren't taught about this. What happens in this house stays in this house. You know what I'm saying? So we had to suffer. We suffered with a lot of stuff for a long time. So now that mental health is becoming, like you said, it's trending a little bit now. Now we can process this stuff. So if we able to process it now, we can help future generations later on in life where they don't have to necessarily need this.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't say it better. And like you said, that age thing, like man, like my son 4, and I see the moments where like his stress levels go through the roof. About it could be something like him trying to unbuckle his seatbelt because he want to do it on his own so bad, and he know he can, but for some reason he can't get it, and he his stress go from 0 to 100 real quick. So
right.
But as parents, you so used to he's just a child, he's just growing up, that you don't really realize that's a form of stress. It's just a 4-year-old stressing out. So it has, and again, me talking to my therapist about situations like that with my son, especially being in a co-parenting situation where he he mainly lives with his mom, but I get him all the time. It's still, he has to deal with that dynamic.
Right.
Some days, or sometimes he have his days where he's having good days, and sometimes he's having his bad days. So asking those questions about what are some things that me and his mom could do to help the process, because for us, it may be a little easier because we've been doing it for 4 years, but for him at 4, it's still brand new. He understands it, but he still doesn't understand it,
Exactly.
And now with me being about to be, gone for a year, that's something else he's gonna have to adjust to. And I asked about that and things like that. So it's just a lot of different things that I'm glad I was able to learn about through the therapy process, because if not, it would just be like, all right, well, we're gonna figure it out. That's what we like to say when we don't know something. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Exactly. Not knowing that it could this 1 year could have a lasting effect if we don't understand how it may affect him right now and try to work through it with him in real time, instead of waiting until he's 18, 19, and 20. Now he has a resentment because he didn't understand, and nobody.
You're trying to figure out where it came from. Exactly. See that, and that's why the other day when I made that status about how I feel like it should be a requirement for all parents to take like some type of children's development class, so you can understand what it is. Because people think, sometimes they feel like, oh, my child's not going to remember this. Me personally, I don't know about anyone else, but I remember everything 4 and up. I can remember 4 and up. Some people think that 4-year-olds don't remember anything, but they do. Like you gotta. So I think it's very important to really, really process and understand and analyze each developmental milestone that your child goes through. Like, okay, what is it that my child's brain can withstand now? What is it about emotions right now? So that's what I try to do with my son. Like you said, understand emotions. If I see he getting frustrated with something, instead of me, fussing at him saying, boy, quit fussing or crying about this. I say, Sage, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Yep.
Show me. He'll tell me. Say, okay, let me show you how to do it. So you don't, let me help you out a little bit. You show your kids how to respond to stuff with emotionally. You set the bar for them. If you show them how to respond emotionally, then they'll know how to respond emotionally when they get older. Yeah,
Exactly.
the world not gonna coddle your children or anything like that. But that's why you still when your child is mad, don't get mad at your child for being mad. Being angry is a perfectly okay emotion to have. It's not anger isn't a bad thing. You could be mad. You're human. So why are you getting mad at this child for being mad?
Exactly.
Process with the child with the child is try to figure out why they're mad. Get to the root of it, and then help them understand that there's different ways that you can redirect this anger so that you don't get in trouble. So there's no consequences for you later on.
Yep. Exactly. So next, I want to jump into something that I've noticed over your social media over, I don't even know, within the last year or so, probably more. Well, I noticed that you got real heavy into working out, being physically fit. So I wanted to ask how does it for you, or how do you think in general that working out affects and kind of helps maintain your mental health for yourself and for someone who may be dealing with things where they're trying to get that stress down and express it.
Right. Yeah. So with me, working out has literally been, it's probably been one of the top things on my self-care list. That's one of the activities that I use for self-care. So even when I tell people about, finding what self-care is for you, exercising is to me personally, that's one of the best ones that you can always include in self-care, because no matter how old you are, that's something the doctor never changes with you. It don't matter if you're 10 or 78, they always recommend you get exercise because of that benefit. So, personally for me, working out has helped me because it helps me, for one, keep my stress levels down. Before I used to get stressed, get frustrated about stuff, and just like really, like I might blow up, I might have a blow up or something like that. But me being able to redirect that energy somewhere else when something's going on, sometimes I might have a long day at work and get real frustrated. So I might say, you know what, let me just hit the gym, let me hit these weights, because when taking care of people don't realize mental health and physical health go literally hand in hand. You can work on your mental health all day, but if you're not drinking your water, you're not eating right, getting sleep, doing a little bit of exercise, you're going to kind of contradict what, the mental part of it, or the journey that you're going on. So I think, being able to really just exercise and really like include that into, like, it don't have to be an everyday thing. I may go every day, but that's not everybody's thing, and find out whatever activities work for you where you can do that. Because when you work out, when you can start increasing that heart rate, it releases endorphins into your brain, and these hormones is what keep you happy. So you start to realize that you feel better when you start working out. That's why a lot of times people work out, they're like, man, I feel a lot better than I did before I came in here. I might be tired, I might be sore, I might be hurting, sweating, whatever, but I feel better. I'm not as tense about whatever the situation was. And really a lot of people, again, I don't want them to think that just physical health is just working out. Again, it's just doing some activities that can get your heart rate up. But again, it's also making sure you get the right amount of sleep. Trying to live off 4 hours of sleep because of whatever, eventually it's going to break you down. You know what I'm saying? So you really got to try to make sure you get that in. Water is what helps blood flow through your body. So if you're not drinking water, your brain is not getting the blood flow that it needs, as well as other body parts and things of that nature. So, being able to, that water intake and things like that, just whenever you working out and stuff like that, I did it for reasons like, I wanted to improve my appearance and things like that. And ever since I've done that, ever since I've like been enjoying, I can enjoy the way I look now. Now it's easier on my mental, it increases self-esteem, things like that. When you working out, you start seeing that, results and things like that, and clothes fitting differently, your self-esteem, your self-confidence and self-worth, all of those levels start to, increase. So I think it's, extremely important to try to like incorporate it at least 2 to 3 times a week if you can. And it doesn't have to be anything, like I said, anything intense. Like, if it is basketball, swimming, boxing. If it is just walking around your neighborhood or something like that, walking, and you don't have to run, just walking, but making sure you're incorporating that. So your body and your mental is on the same page with each other.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, it makes you feel better. I hate running. Even being in the military this long, people think that I literally despise running, man. I hate it. But I try to run as often as I can or do some type of cardio. Like I said, for last month, I wanted to have, at least 31 miles for, a mile a day at least. So I did 31 miles of not just running, but just combined cardio. So that's running, treadmill, sprints, elliptical, assault bike, all those different things, and after each extra, and it might be at the end of a workout, but at the end of all of that, like it felt when I looked at it yesterday, and I was like, oh man, I logged my last miles in. I was like, I hit my goal. It made me feel good, like you said. I was like, that's what's up. I set this goal, and because a couple like months prior, my homeboys, they would have like running groups, and I would start off good, and I would taper off at the end. But I was like, no, I'm gonna just do my own and hold myself accountable. And it felt good to do it. But like you said, once you get to that point of, you start feeling better, seeing small results. And that's one thing I want to add to people, if you do take it and go the workout route, don't expect the big results. Look for the small results, because the small results come quicker. You might go from 25 pounds to 35 pounds. That's a 10-pound increase. That's, to some people, it takes forever for a 10-pound increase. If you get that increase, if you get a 5-pound increase, if you get 2 more reps or something like that,
exactly.
That's a good thing, and it'll make you feel better. But if you look at it negatively, then it's going against the process. So I think I noticed you doing that, and I knew that was something I wanted to speak about, because I know, like for me, when I focus on it and really lock in and I go every day, that I can see an improvement overall. And that was something that my therapist said. Also, he asked me, he was like, what are some of your hobbies that you like to do? And the first couple of times he would ask me randomly, like, you added any more hobbies yet? And I was like, nah, I'm just watching basketball. It's basketball season. I got to catch every game. He was like, nah, I want you to get out of the house. I want you to do something, write it down that you're going to do it and start doing it. And I started going to the gym again, and it was just a big improvement. So I know for me, it helped mentally. So I wanted to know, like, from your point of view, was that something that you chose to do for that reason? And if you agree, so.
Yeah, definitely. Because like even when I first started, I remember even having those mental days when I'm like, man, I'm tired, my body hurting. I'm in here trying to lift something. I'm thinking I'm stronger than I what I was until I first started. I'm like, man, I thought I was strong until I got in there, but just realizing, like, just seeing, like you said, understanding that growth. I'm sitting here thinking that I wanted, that I need to be pushing, 225 every time I bench and stuff like that. But I'm like, you got to start somewhere. You start somewhere small, and like, don't overwhelm yourself with this overall image that you're trying to get. When you're designing your life, you got to work your way towards it. Don't think about, think about the big picture, but don't focus so solely on the big picture, because then you're not going to focus on what it is you need to do next. So if it is like you said, if it is me putting 5 pounds on next week, then I can add the 5 pounds next week. I don't have to try to go ahead and add 20 pounds and know that I can't do that and just stress myself out because it's not been able to, it's not working for me. So yeah, definitely. Like for me, like I even remember before I started working out, I used to stay up late and everything like that. And I, sometimes I would sleep in a little later, but now every morning I'm up by like 5:30 every morning, even on the weekends, no matter what time I go to sleep, I'm up by 5:30, because it's just, working out has just gotten me that way where it's just like, I have more energy now for the day. Like I don't wake up, like I don't have to sit in, when I wake up, I don't sit in the bed 5-10 minutes. When I wake up, I get up, you know what I'm saying? So like that has really helped me like get my day started. I started to add to my day. I started extending my days, like, because if I sleep till 10, 11, 12, now I don't have so much time to get some stuff done. But ever since I've been working out, definitely has made me feel better in order for me to get up earlier to start doing more things in life.
All right, cool. We're on the same page with that. So now this is one, we're both black men, and that's again, like I said, one of the reasons I wanted to reach out. So what is something you would tell black men specifically about their mental health that you think the black men in our community need to hear more than they have?
My number one thing, what I tell all my black male clients, well, I tell any client, this, especially my black male clients, is that you do not always have to be okay. You don't always have to be okay. Understand that, you are a human just like every other being in this world. So understand that you don't always have to be okay. If you're feeling some type of emotion or feeling, feel it. If you're feeling sad, feel that. You don't have to sit and try to ignore it and try to suppress it like it is not there. Feel it. We don't want you to stay down in it, but we want you to feel it, process it, and then get back to trying to figure out how you can overcome whatever that feeling is. So understand that as a man, you don't always have to be okay. Even though I understand that, so even in some ways society make it seem like, oh,
Gotta be tough all day.
Yeah, you got to be tough. You can't complain about this and can't complain about that, but you have the right to do that. I mean, just like from the moment, whenever a baby is born, whether it's a boy or a girl, that baby needs certain attention. It still needs love. It still needs support, and all of those things. And I don't know why for so long, when we, as time has went on, when men get older, sometimes they get cut off from the male. So you don't have no room to be weak right now. You don't have no room to cry. You don't have no room to. And that's not. And we've carried that mindset up into adulthood. So now we feel like, I want to keep it to myself. I don't want to seem weak if I'm talking about my feelings and things like that. And that's what's causing us to suffer. It's causing us to suffer at the end of the day. So I want to tell all black men, you don't always have to be okay. I'm not always okay, and I'm sure you don't have to always pretend. Like I said again, whatever that feeling is, feel it. Feel whatever that feeling is and process it. And that's why I feel like it is important to have a therapist in your corner to help you process whatever that is. You don't have to speak about this with, anyone else. You can speak about it with your therapist. That's confidential. As a therapist, we if you love your license like I love mine, I'm going to make sure everything is remain confidential in our session. So I make sure I provide that atmosphere for my clients. I always emphasize confidentiality. You come in here, you don't have to worry about your wife, your brother, your cousin, your friends. Nobody can call me and say it's so and so. Nothing about you, because I'm just like I don't even know you. I tell my clients that all the time. Anybody call me and it's not y'all, I'm gonna act like just like I don't know who you are, because I want to make sure I respect my clients' confidentiality. So trying to get black men to understand that if you do utilize mental health services, that it's confidential. So when you're not feeling okay, it's okay to talk to somebody. You don't have to keep that bottled in.
That's a fact, man. And it's true. It works. It helps, because again, as we're taught and as we were raised and brought up through society, it's like, all right, once you hit a certain age, you suck it up, tough, and especially if you play like sports and things like that growing up too,
right?
That definitely adds into that thought process of, hey, you got to suck it up. You can't be weak. You can't show no signs of weakness. You got to fight through it, go through it, push through. And although it's taught in us as a way of dealing with adversity, sometimes you have to, like you said, it's all right to not be okay. You have to be like, look, man, I don't know what's going on. Exactly. What I'm dealing with, I need to talk. Like, and even again, I like to use myself in these examples, like talking to my therapist, dealing with certain things. I would come in, I would tell him the truth, and sometimes he would look at me and be like, "You said that? You told him that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I told him that." Like, because I know for me, telling somebody how I feel, right, wrong, and indifferent, helps me deal with whatever I'm dealing with. Instead of saying, all right, somebody hurt my feelings, somebody made me feel a certain way, and I just deal with it and go on. Now that's when I'm gonna have anger towards that person, resentment towards that person, not want to talk to that person, things like that. But I'd rather say, hey, look, this is how I feel about the situation. This is how the situation made me feel. This is how what you did made me feel, X, Y, and Z. And then move on from there, because at least I was able to get my emotions out and get my feelings out instead of bottling it up. So
right.
I think us as black men specifically, and again, this isn't a racial subject, but I'm a black man. I'm talking to another black man who's in the therapist field. But I think us as black men need to continue to, you know, grow and evolve, because contrary to popular belief, Black men do evolve and we do continue to grow.
Exactly.
Not just one and done. You know, we make mistakes too. We want to grow up just like everybody else, and we should be afforded the opportunity to grow up.
Exactly.
But us with kids and us who are, you know, father figures or male figures in the lives of other young Black men have to set that example with them. Like you said, with your son, if he's dealing with something, you ask him what's wrong so you can show him and teach him. That's what a lot of us weren't able to do. It was suck it up, figure it out later, or, you know, get out the way, blah, 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 blah. It was the wrong answers.
Right.
But, you know, now we know the right thing, and when you know better, you do better. So that's that's what I like to always, you know, put out there. When you know better, you do better. So if you know as a 30-plus-year-old man that you don't always feel good, teach these young boys the same thing, because a lot of the stuff that's going on out here in our communities and our neighborhoods is because they don't have no way to express, or they don't understand how to express what they're going through. So all they're going to do is what everybody else around them is doing. So that's how I feel about that situation.
Yeah, you want to make sure your household is emotionally safe. That's what I tell people, especially my couples, like, or anybody with kids. Make sure the atmosphere in your household is emotionally safe. Meaning your child or your partner or yourself can feel however, and be able to be comfortable enough to talk about it with someone up in your household or something like that. Like with my couples, I do that with them. Like, you know, provide emotional security. So like with Imago relationship therapy, what I do is with Imago, it touches a lot on your childhood. So you hear the childhood come up so much, and a lot of people don't realize that your childhood, and a lot of people want to say, you know, you can't keep blaming, you know, your child. And not saying that you necessarily blame it, but what people don't realize is your childhood has one of the most heaviest, or your upbringing has the heaviest impact on your behaviors and abilities as an adult. So if you got this person who was just never given the opportunity to be able to express themselves as a child, you cannot just snap your fingers and think, okay, this person should be able to communicate their feelings. The person's not used to that. They might have had maybe they had a verbally abusive father whenever they seen them trying to express their feelings, and now they bottling it up, so they don't really know exactly how to express themselves. So also, I like to tell Black men, like, you know, your childhood has a lot to do with it, you know. So being able to process what has happened in your upbringing. Again, it's not to shame our parents or, you know, our caretakers or whoever it was that raised us, because at the end of the day, I look at it like I give people the benefit of the doubt. They did the best to do with it. They did the best they could with what they knew and what they had, regardless of how it turned out. That was just the best that they could provide, you know. So, but still not just living that, but processing that, being able to understand, like, you know, why am I angry when my partner tells me this, or when somebody says this to me? You trying to figure out, if people don't realize, a lot of the same things that we do when we get into like disagreements and arguments and stuff as an adult, the same way you responded then is probably the same way you responded as a child. Like whenever you might have shut down as a child, and you realize when now you and your partner get into an argument, now you ain't saying nothing. You know, you realize because you always go back. You know, you have this thing called what we call the old brain. That's where we have our defense mechanisms and things like that, where we use as a child when we didn't feel safe or when we felt uncomfortable, or whenever we experienced a certain feeling. So whenever that feeling comes up for us, regardless if it's the same act that made that feeling, but if that feeling comes up, we end up resulting to that same thing as a child. So I like for Black men to understand that, like, you know, process that childhood trauma that you've been through. It's okay. Like, you know, it's okay to say, you know, what I went through wasn't okay. You know, sometimes I work with some Black students, and I heard some say, you know, well, you know, sometimes you have to ask about physical abuse. You know, have you ever experienced physical abuse? And you might hear some say, you know, well, I mean, my parents beat me, but, you know, that's just whooping. That's normal. You know, and when they start explaining how the beatings go, in my head, of course, I'm thinking like, you know, that's not normal. You know, the way certain things happen is not normal, you know. But the thing is, we have that in our head, so you process that, because that still may have made you feel a certain type of way, and it may have had an impact on your relationships with other people as an adult.
Yeah, that's real. Like when you said, you know, the way you act with your partner or someone that you're involved with, whenever y'all have a disagreement, like that's something that I really can say, yeah, it's kind of, that's right on, because I was the king of shutting down. Like
Yeah.
once we have a disagreement, we bump heads. I'm just you can hear the battery lose power, and it's like,
Right.
and that's something I dealt with for years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
and I would always try to like justify it with this is why it's shut down because I don't want to do this and that. But at the end of the day, it wasn't helping because we weren't getting a solution. We were just being at odds, and whoever let it go first, and trying to move
Right.
past it. But
Right.
as I got older and I started actually, talking to, whoever I was, was dealing with and letting them understand, them telling me like, that's something that you have to try to, work with and handle. And so again, I was intentional about it. Like, I told my therapist the same thing. Like, man, I did it even, in the sessions. I would come in and tell him about a situation. He'd be like, you can't do it that way. You can't do it that way. And I would like, it works best for me. But he said, but you can't be that way. You have to, you have to communicate how you feel. And that's what got me to, like I said, now, no matter what, I would rather somebody say, Quay told me how he felt. I didn't agree with it, but he told me, than saying, well, you didn't even tell me how you felt.
That's all it is right there. That's exactly what it is. Like you said, like, and that's what I like about therapy. They're gonna challenge you, especially when they see things like that come up. Whenever with defense mechanisms, what I tell people is they're temporary. It's a temporary fix. But like you said, it's still prolonged. We still didn't find a solution to it because here, like if you got a person here that's coming at this person, if you criticizing, you using that, you being criticized, this person here is either gonna shut down or they're gonna criticize back, and then they're gonna try to criticize even more. And then this person, so whatever the topic was,
it don't matter.
It don't even matter no more because everybody using their defense mechanisms right now because this is what they've been using to feel safe. So if I feel like, if I want to shut down, if I shut down and I tune you out, I don't have to. I feel safer this way. So that's what I'm gonna do, even if it's not the healthiest thing for me to do. I'm gonna do it because this is what I've been used to. Whenever my mom came in fussing and cussing at us about the house and all this or whatever, I used to shut down and I'll go in my room. So now you see where it's coming up at in your relationships and things like that. Whenever you're not feeling safe.
Yep, that's 100% true, man. Like it's crazy as you see it as you get older, and like you said, the one thing that I wanted to touch on before I go to the next topic, you said our parents, that they were just doing the best they could what they had, and I like to echo that because for those of you who are parents now at 20s, mid-20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, just look at the way that you're dealing with things and having a parent like with more information and still issues. Just imagine your parents at 20 something years old or 30 years old trying to figure out something that they, like you said earlier, it's no manual to being a parent. Like
exactly.
Parents did the best they could. They they raised you. They try to keep you in line. They put food on your table and clothes on your back and roof over your head, man.
Right.
A lot of that, times people have a certain level of, oh, I wish this or I grew up this way. Like, certain times you got to just step back as an adult now and realize, like, hey, man, my parent was doing the same thing that I'm doing now, trying to figure it out. And I understand what it was back then, because that's definitely something that happens. The same with that, your mom or your dad treats your child 1,000 times better than they treated you, and you ask them like, when I was little, you would never do that.
Right.
But they that's a part of them evolving too. Like, well, now I'm a grandparent now, so I understand I don't have to be that way with my grandchild.
Right. So and people don't realize, like, even when you have like may have a person who has multiple kids, you realize that the oldest child may have had like maybe a little bit more strict parenting. Then they always say the baby get away, or get away with everything. Again, because your parent was growing.
That's a fact. That's a fact, Ma. Mediocre. That's a fact.
Mediocre.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, the baby gets away with a lot more stuff because what happens over time, like you said, your parent starts to evolve and grow. So they're growing now. Now their patience has grown more. Okay, I don't have to. I've done this several times before. My child, I know the child is good, whatever, whatever. So you give them a little bit more leeway than you may have done, because when you first started, I know with me, this been my first one. Like I've been on my toes, like been scared. Like I'm trying to make sure he's safe with everything, and I'm trying to make sure he's good with everything. But then after a while, it starts to you start to lessen up a little bit, and like your patience starts to grow even more with you. So now when you have the younger child, that child right there, you can deal with it a lot more differently.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. A couple more here. I'm gonna let you get on out of here, man. It's been a very, very great conversation, though, man. I really enjoyed it. So this is one I think this is a big one. I like to talk about and hit on. How do you think social media affects our mental health? That's a big thing that we're dealing with right now. Social media is not going anywhere. The social media, internet bullying is a thing. Seeing these recent murders and mass shootings on the internet and things like that. How do you think all of that plays on a human's or a person's mental health?
I think it has a very huge impact. So even with whenever you are constantly witnessing things on social media that may be traumatic or disheartening or anything like that, like therapists, you're taking it in and you're seeing it's like even when people are sharing videos of these mass murders or whatever it is, like you're taking this stuff in and you're wondering why you feeling, you may start asking yourself, Dad, I just feel kind of down today. You don't realize that sometimes you're absorbing some of that social media that it's affecting your mental health because you're absorbing a lot of stuff. One other way is that a lot of times we look on social media and we compare ourselves. So when we compare ourselves to things, we're trying to figure out why this person, how this person got all of this. And I've been doing all of that. I've been working hard. I've been doing this, and they living this life that I want to live or something like that. We see that when I don't know if you ever heard that a comparison is a thief of joy. So when you compare yourself to someone, you robbing your own self from joy because you're not really, for one, you're not appreciating what it is that you have. So you're sitting here trying to envy someone, or you're getting worked up behind what somebody else have. But I think with social media, like you've been able to learn how to take breaks from that. Being able to learn how to, because I think social media can be good and bad. I like the fact that we have the internet and social media now to get more awareness across about things. Yeah. But on the other hand, we still have these negative aspects about it, like you said, cyberbullying and things like that. So I think it has a very huge impact on our mental health because it can be draining. Even when you just constantly looking at, you don't even have to be videos. Even looking at statuses of people just talking about depressing things, like over time, it's like, man, you just kind of get overwhelmed with it. Like I'm kind of tired of saying it. So sometimes I take breaks from it. I may just you gotta delete the app. Delete the app. It's always gonna be there, but use that time, to free up your mental. That time that you were spending on social media, use that to work on yourself and improve yourself. If that's filling out a job application, if that's going to go take a class, if that's going to go work out, whatever it is, So I think it has a huge impact, and I just hope that people can find a balance where it's not affecting their mental as bad as it is. So being able to learn how to take those breaks from it, I think is going to be real helpful with trying to balance that.
Yeah, man, that's those. If anybody knows me, they know I'll disappear off social media right now. Like, and it's because like I don't like and prior to even social media, like I stopped watching the news, like just
me too
years ago, man. If I hear about something, it's in passing, it's at work because I work with a lot of older people, or the internet. It might show me, and I try to let everybody that knows me, that I might share messages and things like don't send me a video of anything, nobody getting shot, nobody getting don't send it. Like it's a I have a threshold, like
man.
I have a threshold because at one point it was just like, why am I watching these videos? Somebody just literally died on my phone, and I'm gonna close my phone and go on about my day. And I started realizing like, nah, I don't want to. It's replaying it in my head. I don't want to see that. So I made it clear to everybody, like, man, don't send me that, please don't. And that's why most people know now. Like if you follow me on social media, I'm gonna joke. Like I'm gonna make a joke. I'm gonna make something funny because it's not enough of that. It's a lot of, like you said, the comparison of statuses. People do those, or complaining, or bad days. And my thing's like, man, like this life is real, real, real short. One thing that I say is, life is always shorter than we think it is. It's always shorter because you don't know where you're gonna go. Exactly. And I'd rather make somebody laugh, man, or clown about something for 5-10 seconds than stress about something that you can't really do anything about, or share a video of somebody that looks like me getting gunned down, or just all the nonsense that's up there, man. So
Right.
like you said, take that time if you do take that break and do something to try to keep it, you know, to work on yourself, because I'll take a break right now, man, and just, you know, disappear. Yeah. But people will notice, because, you know, you'll get a message like, hey, you good? I ain't seen you on social media in a while. And, you know, now I'm just, you know, I had to take a break. I need a break.
Right. Exactly. It's
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that stuff's not going nowhere, man. When you
right.
and if you have taken a break, you know, every time you come back, you fall right back in line, because it ain't changing. It's not changing, man. So
for real though.
But don't, you know, don't. And this is speaking about from someone who has let it, go for a while. Like, don't let it become too much before you decide to say, all right, I need a break. If you feel it getting there, just go ahead and delete the app. You know, I deleted all the way out the app. I deleted no history of it off the computer, everything. I don't want no ding. I don't want no messenger. No nothing.
None of it.
You realize that you waste a lot of time on social media. Also, you be sitting at home and don't got nothing to do. And you might pick your phone up and there's nothing to open. You're like, oh man, I ain't going on social media today. What am I going to do now? So
and that's that time you use it. So you know what? I was supposed to go write some notes on something. You know, let me go do that. Use that time for that. So you got to set those. It's important that you set those boundaries with yourself and other people.
Exactly. So you said that you are a career counselor, and I wanted to know, was that a intentional, like, second avenue, or was that something that you wanted to do to tie in with, you know, your social work and things like that?
So I wanted, when I first got into my counseling graduate program, I saw the different counselors that you could potentially be, like with the school, and then you got clinical mental health, and then you have a career. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I think I want to do career as well, because I realized that that's something that a lot of, especially Black people as well, we deal with. We struggle with trying to find out what our career is, what our career identity is. So we're not happy with the job. That's causing more stress on us. So I said, you know what? I said, to make myself more marketable, I want to be a one-stop shop. So like, that's why I offer. I was like, let me get into the career counseling, the mental health, and the couples counseling, so that I can provide all of these services for my people. Where that if you want to come in and get some career readiness techniques or skill training, then I have that. I can provide that for you. I've even had that with some clients. Like, we'll be focusing on some mental health stuff, and maybe the thing that is called, like I said, the adjustment disorder. Maybe you are struggling with the job that you're in, and you're trying to figure out, you don't know the next step of how to pull yourself out of. So you're depressed from the job, and you're stuck in the job because you don't know, maybe you don't have the career readiness to apply somewhere else and maybe seek another job. So it's just causing stress on you. So I was like, you know what, I can help my people with that by, helping with resumes, helping you prepare for interviews, and just getting your career, helping you find out whatever your career identity is, because that's going to be very important. Because you find that job you love, you don't work. You feel like it doesn't feel like work when you do it that way. So I was like, let me just be a one-stop shop for my people, where they can come in and receive career counseling as well as clinical mental health or couples counseling.
And I commend that, like, and that's why I wanted to ask, because when you gave me the rundown, I was like, I wonder how you tie that in, because it doesn't naturally go. But now that you broke it down, I understand. And again, it's something that you on your journey of finding out what you want, and you realize this is something that my people need, that they can use.
Exactly.
Because again, the only counselor that we knew was the guidance counselor. Nobody ever said it. Nobody ever said, hey, what kind of career do you want? Yeah, you probably, when you were younger, they asked you what you want to be when you get older, but you don't know. Everybody wanted to be a firefighter until you got 18 and realized that you're not built to run into no burning fire.
Right.
But having somebody who can actually sit down with you, take the time. I can only imagine if I was 18 years old and was able to sit down with somebody at that time and say, hey, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Have that actual step-by-step of somebody to actually help you get there. A lot of people could have benefited from that, because most of us, we were just thrown to the wolves, for lack of better terms. Even if you were a great high school student, you went to college. I'm pretty sure multiple people who went to college and they still never figured out exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah,
Because it
man.
wasn't, there was no real, career counseling in there. So I commend that. I think that's something that everybody should have. If you haven't found your career, and even if you have found your career, it's still something that you can help, improve on it and build
Right.
upon. So that's a great one, man. I think that's really, really dope.
Yeah, I wish I had that. I mean, maybe I felt like because it's my undergrad years, I felt like I wasted it. So I'm like, I'm good. I was good at English, so I was like, why not go to school and be an English teacher? When I realized I didn't want to teach no high school students, so I'm like, I didn't really. Had I talked to a career counselor who would help me figure out what my skills are, what the pay would be, what my interests are, all of these things, these value, your values and your beliefs and all of that stuff, that is important to you going into whatever career it is. When I see some people being teachers, but you fussing and cussing the kids out because maybe that career wasn't for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's understandable, but but maybe you were stuck with it because you felt like that's what all you had to do. But understanding that certain fields are required for certain skills. So understanding what your skill set is and what your values and things like that is, it'll help you whenever you're going through that process of trying to figure it out what it is. Like just how people make the comment of, oh yeah, you go to school, you go to college, and you may not, you still don't come out with a job always. Yeah, but if you have career counseling from the very moment you start career, what I help people with is getting experience. Like while you still in school, do an internship, volunteer. You're not gonna help. It's not gonna hurt you to volunteer. You can put this on your resume, and then boom, they see that you've been volunteering for the agricultural science department for 4 years, and now here you can get this scientist position or whatever it is, this analyst position or something like that. That's gonna help you out with your mental health because that's your security in this world. You got to work. For the most part, most of us have to work anyway, so that's your security. So if I can help alleviate at least that, I feel like I'm helping you with your mental health as well.
I 100% agree, man. I 100% agree. That's a very dope thing to incorporate into your overall view and plan. I appreciate that just being something that your mind went to. Like I want to be that one-stop shop. So this is my last question, bonus question, because you said you were getting into the couples therapy thing. So what would you tell a brand new couple? Say they've probably been dating for let's say 2 months. Say they're not even engaged or anything, but just a brand new couple. They they feel like they met the right person. What would you tell them to try to help them cultivate that relationship even more?
Yeah. So especially when I have a new couple, or if I'm talking to especially a fresh couple, the thing that I always start off with couples is understanding what your partner's love language is, because that is key into how you're gonna feel loved in that relationship. Because you can have two partners, and one partner can be quality time, the other partner can be physical touch. That may be their top love language. But quality time can't give physical touch. I mean, quality time to physical touch and expect this person that they feel like they love. You can be giving this person quality time and you like, they're not appreciating me or whatever it is. So understanding what your partner's love language is and what it looks like for them. So you can have two partners that, maybe their top love language is quality time, but you got to figure out what it looks like for your partner. So quality time for this person may be just us in the same presence. But quality time for this person may be, oh no disruptions, no kids, just me and you. It's just this is this is how I view quality time. Being romantic, intimate, whatever. That may be what they view as quality time. So understanding what your partner is, what their love language is very key. I think that's going to help you know how to effectively love your partner. Because whenever you attend to your partner's love language, it helps them feel more secure in the relationship. So doing that, and also understanding, having those conversations about childhood, about upbringings, like, certain feelings when things come up. So like with Imago dialogue, what I do, Imago dialogue, with Imago relationship therapy, what I do is we use a lot of dialogues in there. So we use this basic one. It's like the basis one of the entire thing. It's called the Imago dialogue. So you can make an appointment with your partner to use this dialogue. So you can use this dialogue about whatever, about whatever it is, or whatever the topic. It could be about good things, bad things, whatever. But again, you always want to make sure you're creating emotional safety for your partner. So the key is to be consistent and provide safety. no matter what happens between you and your partner in a relationship, even if you and your partner have a joint account and your partner spend $500 without talking to you first, they should still be able to feel emotionally secure enough to have that conversation with you. They may know that you're going to be upset, but they still should feel safe enough to be able to do that with you. So provide emotional safety. So in these dialogues, what I like about it is the partners mirror each other back. A lot of times when we get frustrated about things, it's because we feel like we're not being heard. So when we're not being heard, we're sitting here trying to defend ourselves and things like that. Which, you may have a conversation with your partner and may say, you want to talk about how they don't clean up or something like that. And it may be maybe your approach or the way you presented it. You may say, you don't clean up and you don't do this and you don't do that. When you do that to somebody feels criticized. And then, again, defense mechanisms. I'm either going to shut down or I'm going to criticize you back. So you got to be more intentional about your approaches when you're communicating with your partner. So that means, like, instead of saying, how can I reframe this without letting my partner, I'm frustrated because my partner doesn't clean up or is not helping me clean up, but how can I verbalize this to them? So what you'll do is you'll reframe it. You'll say, with the Imago dialogue, you'll say, what I want to talk to you about is how I get frustrated when the house isn't clean. Yeah. When you say it like that, you didn't point the blame at nobody. Is it on me? Is it on you? But you're talking to your partner about a feeling that you're experiencing, and you're letting them know how it makes you feel. So what it does for them is they have a deeper understanding of what it does for you. Okay, when the house isn't clean, my partner just feels like, it's not clean around here and things like that. It just frustrates them. It feels dirty to them or whatever. So this is it. You create that deeper understanding for your partner. So being specific about what it is that you're feeling, being intentional, creating, the emotional safety for your partner, mirroring your partner. So when I say mirroring, I mean, when your partner says something to you, mirror it back to you. So they may say, I want to talk to you about why the light bill is so high. Okay, what you said you want to talk to me about why the light bill is high. Is there more about that? Did I get it right? Ask, because if you can mirror back to your partner, they know for a fact that they're being heard. If you can mirror back accurately, and if your partner isn't mirroring back accurately, let them know. No, because sometimes we try to respond back. We want to respond back with the interpretation of what we think they're trying to say. So exactly. If they say something like, I would just want to talk about how I get frustrated when the house ain't clean. Oh, so what you saying is I don't clean up the house and all that. It's not gonna work. No, you got to mirror your partner back, because that's not what your partner said. They just say they get frustrated when the house isn't clean. They ain't point finger at you, so you can't make up these interpretations about what you think it's gonna be. So mirror your partner back. That's gonna be making sure that your partner feels heard and that you're hearing them accurately. So, being intentional, man. Definitely. Attending to that love language is key. Understanding what your attachment style may be. You might be avoidant. You may have avoidant attachment style, or anxious attachment style, or a secure attachment style. But we always want to try to help our partners and ourselves get to a secure attachment style. So understanding that. So just being curious about your partner. That's what I'd like to say. Because even when you get out of, when you're in a first relationship, for the first year or two, you under an anesthesia, man. You don't feel anything. You don't see nothing. But after about a year and a half, year or two, you start to see, like, man, this person right here is frustrating me with this. And you start to think that if this person doesn't change, then maybe we're not meant to be. But as you understand why certain things make sense to your partner, everything has to make sense to you. But understand why it makes sense to your partner. Be curious about your partner. Understand, like, okay, I wonder why does my partner respond this way whenever I bring up this particular topic. Again, it's something from the childhood that you probably suppressed it and you don't want to go back there. But again, that stuff is imprinted on you as a child. So it's coming up in these adult relationships. So be curious about your partner. Try to understand what it is that they've been through so you can help heal whatever frustrations they have going on.
Man, I think that was beautifully said, man. Like, for real. And it's crazy because that's I actually got the title of my podcast from quality time being one of my love languages. Like, I did a play on words with my name Quay and Liddy, but that's why I got the quality time thought from.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
that was something I learned a long time ago. They gave it to us in one class or something that they had us take, and we had to read the love language book, take the test and things like that. And that was one of my so when I was doing this, that came up, and I was like, let me and also I wanted that to be the feel of the conversation, like spend some quality time, having a quality conversation with quality people. So
Right.
And I also agree that, like you said, to make sure that you are like the mirroring thing that you said, or not, not pointing the finger, and that kind of it's crazy how closely that resembles this resiliency training that we have to take and that we get, because the same type of things that we deal with, they say, hey, frame it this way, and now it won't seem like you're pointing the finger or placing the blame, but you're still getting your point across. Let them know how you feel. Tell them this, and when somebody's telling you something, don't try to interpret it a different way. Hear exactly what they say, and it helps. A lot of people, they kind of stubborn when it first comes out because of what they've been used to doing, but those things are definitely a help, man. That's something that I think is dope. That the couples counseling thing is very dope, because I think that's something that, for me, it's something I wish, in my marriage, that, my previous marriage, that was something I wish that we would have took more serious, or we would have even, thought about at that time. But it wasn't something that was on our mind. It was, like you said, that fresh, relationship, rainbows and Skittles everywhere. But being intentional, doing the work, and getting to know more about the person that you're with, I think that would have been a help. But now it has helped me a lot, not the couples therapy, but just therapy in general, by knowing how to communicate with my son's mom, how to understand what she says, or what she's going through, or what she's doing. So I think, and it has helped our relationship a lot, just grow as like friends and co-parents. But I think that part of the counseling is something good. So for y'all young couples out there, or older couples, or whatever, man, I know there's no limit on it, but if you don't have that, get that counseling, man. I know it could be a benefit, speaking from this end, and hearing from you. So for y'all that need that or would like that, get it, man. It's never too early to learn more about the person that you're with, or that you want to be.
Exactly. I was just getting ready to say that. I would say, a lot of times couples wait until they in the peak of chaos to try to, get it. But if you go ahead and start, even if you, like you said, if it's a fresh new relationship, I have couples who may be still, they're still dating. I don't require my couples to be married or anything like that. But I have couples who've been dating for 6 months, and they wanted to go ahead and just start getting coping skills and learning techniques that they can use. So when the power struggle does come, because again, after that year or two, after that anesthesia wears off, and you start feeling that person, and things start to really happen. It's this thing that we all go through. It's called the power struggle. You're gonna go through this power struggle with their partner. So being able to understand, how can I work with my partner through the power struggle when it happens. So that way, when the peak of chaos happens, it's not even really too much chaos, because you guys have been communicating, or you've been using the tools that led up to that point, and now you know how to get over that hurdle. So.
So again, man, ShMaughn, I appreciate your time, man. This was a very, very dope conversation, man. Probably have more in the future. I like to, I'm right around my year mark with doing this. So later on we can run it back, have a different conversation about some other stuff, man. I appreciate your time. Anytime you want to sit down and talk about anything, just hit me up, man. I'm all ears. I'm always open. I'm always ready to learn more about something that I'm interested in, and something that I know personally has helped me get to the point where I am, man. I ain't all the way, 100% where I would like to be, but I can 100% say that I'm a lot more equipped to deal with and handle things than I used to be, and I appreciate that part about it, and that's why I take it so serious. I've seen the change in me, and I'm pretty sure those around me that know me can see the change in me. So I appreciate your time, man. Last thing before we get out of here, how can people contact you? How can people reach out to you? Things like that.
Yeah, so if especially if people want to, you want to reach out to me, on social media, ShMaughn Wright, on Facebook anyway. I'm in the process of creating me a therapist page where it could be more so just focused on mental health stuff, like a like page where people can go and things like that. If for counseling services, I am at Overcomers Counseling Center. It's located in Durham, North Carolina, and I offer virtual and face-to-face sessions, and that's located at 2410 Presidential Drive, Durham, North Carolina. Oh, I can't remember The zip code is 27703. So if people, wanna reach out or inquire about services, that's the agency that I'm working for right now. And yeah, man. Again, I appreciate you for even allowing me to come out here and speak. It's actually my first podcast speaking on, so I'm honored that you even had me up here today to even just share my story and talk about some mental health, and hopefully this right here has sparked an interest in somebody to make them want to manage or check in on their mental health. So again, I appreciate you having me on your platform today, man.
Appreciate it, man. Very, very great conversation, man. I love the vibe, love the information, man. Keep doing your thing. You already know I got your back. I'm in your corner.
Yes,
Salute,
sir.
man. Keep going, keep on going. Grow your business, everything, man. I'm proud of you more than anything. I wanted to say that before we got out here, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of seeing the growth, especially knowing where we come from, man. I love it.
Right.
Because
Appreciate that, man.
it could have been a whole different story. We all know how it goes. And so I'm proud of you, man. Brother to brother, man. Father to father, black man to black man. Keep doing your thing, man. Keep helping our community. As always, man, stay safe out here in this crazy world that we live in. Right. But I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you 100% for doing this, man. That's from the heart. I appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, anytime you want me up here, man, I'm here. All
right, man. And there is another episode of the Quality Time Podcast. I will catch y'all on the flip side.
They ask for greatness, I promise perfection. Mama birthed the king, immaculate conception. I survived in the darkness and the shadows of death. And through all that I prospered, they formed every weapon. But I came so thorough, never changed my wardrobe. Took every scar with honor. I was raised in the borough. Now I'm giving to me from the belly of the beast. I'm just paying respects. I'm just speaking my piece.